Support for the African Debate Series has been brought to you by Ohio Immigrant Alliance, Columbus African Festival, Fork in Nigeria, and 83 Gallery.
Thank you everyone for being here today. We are thrilled to have you guys, and again, we know it's a Friday, but we can't thank you guys enough. But these debates are very, very important, and we needed to have it. Welcome to the inaugural African Debate Series. We are thrilled to have you join us for this exciting event that we explore critical issues that impact the African diaspora. My name is Mustafa Bayo. I'm from Guinea, West Africa. Alongside me is Tony, my co-host, and we are going to be your moderator for today's debate.
So, like he's mentioned, my name is Tony Adeshlu, and we're delighted to see such a diverse and engaged audience here today. The African Debate Series is all about providing a platform, a meaningful dialogue on topics that matter to our communities, both back home and in the diaspora.
Today's motion is, and this is very important because this is why we're here today, resolve. The Democratic Party does not, very important, does not represent the interests and values of the African diaspora. Let me repeat that again. Today's debate, resolve. The Democratic Party does not represent the interests and the values of the African diaspora. This is a timely and important topic as the election draws to a close. And we examine the alignment of the two major U.S. political parties with our communities' diverse interests and value.
So here's how today's debate will unfold. Each debater will have 3 minutes for their opening statements. We'll then move on to the main debate, where each side will have 10 minutes to present their arguments, followed by a 5-minute rebuttal period. Afterwards, we'll open the floor to the audience for questions, and finally, each debater will have 2.5 minutes for closing statements.
We are excited to have two esteemed debaters with us today. Advocating for the motion, we have Shafi Shafat. If you don't mind, please, sir, so people can. Please, you can come take your seat as we are calling your names. So Shafi will present argument in favor of the Republican Party representation, focusing on economic empowerment, educational reforms, and alignment with the conservative values.
And opposing the motion, we have Mr. Demba Ndiath. Please give him a hand. Demba, Mr. Ndiath will argue for Democratic Party representation, highlighting historical support for civil rights, social justice, and diversity and inclusion.
Before we begin, some house rules. Just a quick reminder to keep questions for the audience when we get to that, to the audience section, to keep your question concise and respectful during the audience engagement segment. And we want to ensure a productive and respectful discourse throughout the debate.
Thank you, Mustafa.
Thank you.
With that, let's dive into today's debate. Mr. Shafi, you first. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, audience and respected elders and comrades around here. It's a great honor to be here today, seeing this special motion where the African community are going to decide which party resonates with their culture. My name is Shafi Shafat, a Somali American and a former candidate in District 10 State Representative. It's an honor to be here today discussing why I believe the Republican Party best represents the values and the interests of the African diaspora. Our community deeply values hard work, faith, family, and self-reliance, principles that align with the Republican policies. The GOP commitment to economic empowerment is seen in its efforts to reduce taxes, cut regulations, allowing small business to thrive, Many African immigrants and their descendants are entrepreneurs and small business. Growth is essential for creating jobs, wealth within our community. By supporting businesses, owners, and reducing barriers, Republicans promote independence and prosperity over dependency. On the moral front, African Americans and immigrants highly value the sanctity of life and family beliefs. Beliefs that deeply rooted in our culture and faith. The Republican commitment to these values resonates with the African traditions and family-centered principles. In contrast, policies that sideline parents in decisions involving their children, like medical procedure, conflict with the respect for family and parental guidance that are so central to African culture and faith many of us practice. Education is also a key priority. The Republican stance on school choice empowers families to select schools that align with their values and offer the best opportunity for their children. This is crucial for African immigrants who see quality education as a pathway to success. Meanwhile, the Democratic focus on welfare programs, while well-meaning, can unintentionally foster dependency, limiting our community's ability to rise out of poverty. Finally, Republican foreign policy advocates for true economic partnership within African nations, focusing on mutual growth rather than dependency on aid, as we can see around. This approach not only benefits our families back home, but strengthens the connections that support our communities here in the US. Tonight, I ask you to consider these values: economic empowerment, family-centered policies, educational choice, and respect for our community will help our communities thrive. Most, I believe these principles reflect the spirit of African diaspora and a shared desires for independence and growth. I believe the Republican Party is the party that aligns with our culture. We came into the United States as people who were entrepreneurs before. We were never living in handouts. And today we have a party that resonates with that. That is the Republican Party. I urge all of you to consider that and live the African way in the United States so that we become Americans and we become taxpayers and we will not depend on handouts either from government or toxic charity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was the motion that the Democratic Party does not represent the interests and values of the African diaspora.
Mr. Demba is going to...
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to see all these beautiful faces. Thank you so much, my elder here, Mr. Shafi. In Africa, we respect the elders, so I'm just going to try to be a little bit nice with him. Not too much. Okay, my name is Demba Ndiath. I come from Senegal. I am a son of an immigrant. My mom and my dad came here in this country after running away from war in Congo. And I was lucky enough to follow them and come in this country. I have a wife who's a U.S. citizen too, but originally from Senegal. I have 3 kids who were born here, who are U.S. citizens. So for me, according to this motion, I believe the Democratic Party aligns more with African diaspora's value and interests. The reason why I believe that, I'm going to give 3 main reasons. First of all, policy alignment. The Democratic Party has always been with the African diaspora or the black community alongside them since the Civil War, since the beginning. They're always, even though the Republican Party was founded, if we say, by people who were against slavery, later on it becomes something else. The Democratic Party nowadays and today, the party that we know today, aligns more with our values. He talks about family, he talks about economy, he talks about businesses. If you are not allowed to come in this country and stay and thrive in this country, you can't enjoy all of that. You can't enjoy a family, you can't enjoy economy. So the Democratic Party has more policies that aligns with our interests in terms of immigration, in terms of social justice. He talks about welfare. or people who depends on help. But when you first come to this country seeking for the American dream, everybody had a push. Everybody has some help. So you can stand on your feet and be on your own. Nobody want to stay dependent forever. And the African diaspora is full of people who do not want to depend on welfare. We are proud people. We know how to start businesses. You are a beautiful example of that. And then we don't need to depend on welfare or any help from the government. We want to do things and contribute to this country and be part of the people that build this country and make this a better country. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Support for the African Debate Series has been brought to you by Ohio Immigrant Alliance, Columbus African Festival, Forkin, Nigeria, and 83 Gallery.
Thank you. So we've just heard our two debaters. Thank you for those fantastic opening statements. Our next segment is going to now take into our main debate, and this is where we're going to allow you guys the time to present the main your main arguments for or against the motion, and from there we'll have 5 minutes rebuttal if any of you have rebuttals to each other. So again, we started with Mr. Shafi. Maybe we start with Demba this time around.
Yes, thank you so much. So I was saying earlier that I believe the Democratic Party aligns more with our values and interests. And I was listing the reason. I work for an organization called the Ohio Immigrant Alliance. We focus on advocating for a more fairer and more human immigration system in the United States. Our organization work with immigrants that were deported during the Trump era. A lot of these people were stripped away from their families. Families were divided. People were taken into jails during COVID. Some of them were like people who lived in the United States for more than 20 years, paid taxes, never had any issue, and they were deported in very inhuman conditions. Some of them were chained up, feet and hands, and then they went to a lot, and they were sent back home. And then my organization, the organization that I work with, we fight to prove to the to show that these people were valuable contributors to the American system, and they deserve to come back. They deserve to be given a pathway to come back to this country and reunite with their families. Some of them left, and their family is now divided. And the reason why I believe the Democratic Party aligned with our interests and values is because the policies that they are putting in place, the policies that Kamala Harris has, the one that she's talking about, those policies will allow the immigration system to be fixed. We understand that there's a problem. We agree that something needs to be done, and we know Kamala Harris has the intelligence, and the Democratic Party has the resources, the intellectual resources to fix that problem for these immigrants that came to this country, and the one that are supposed to be in this country, that are, want to be in this country and respect the law of this country, to stay and remain in this country and not be considered as terrorists or whatever. That's one of the reasons why I think the Democratic Party aligns more with our value.
Thank you, Mr. Demba. Time is up. We're going to get to Mr. Shafi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Demba. We will need to be having an honest discussion here. I'm an example. I came to the United States in mid-2014 with my beautiful wife and my 2 kids. I was given handouts by the city, food stamps, housing allowance. I had friends like me who came at that same time, and I managed to go to college. I graduated from Columbus State Community College with Associate of Science. I went to Franklin University with a Bachelor of Logistics Management, and I ended up becoming a business owner. I became a taxpayer. I get out of those handouts, and I dreamed the American way. When I saw where my life is ending, the friends that I came with are still depending on the government, on handouts, in a ghetto area. When I live in a ghetto area, when I live in a Section 8 houses, my son will go to a ghetto school, and he will become a gangster tomorrow. That's not the life we want. We need to have honest discussion. Africans, I came from Africa. I'm a proud African. And why I choose and I see this party resonates with the African culture on immigration purposes. When you look back, it was one of the Republican presidents, go back to history, Demba, that allowed immigrants to be allowed to live in the United States. It's not the Democratic Party. I need to rectify that. So our people are misled by, it's the Democratic Party that gives you these values of living in the country. No, it was the Republican Party that gave us the value to live in this great nation and to live as people who will protect their faith, protect their children, and protect their livelihood. So the only way to do that is stay with the Republican values and live those values with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Shafat.
So we have listened to both our debaters, and they both have made some great and awesome points. Now, are there anything that you guys want to add before we move on? Because it looks
Can
like...
I say something?
Oh yeah,
about what he
go
said?
for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I want to say something. It's very interesting that you can make good points and contradict yourself at the same time. And that's what I think what he did. He's talking about the people he came with. He's talking about the people, his friends. I assume they were at the same level as him. And he's saying they're still in those ghettos. That's crazy, because are you saying you're the only one who succeeded among that group of people? I don't think, as a president of the Chamber of Commerce for Somali people, you can make those type of assertion, because the Somali community is an example of success for the African immigrant. 750,000 people, I did some research yesterday. It's a force. It's a big force. They can make a lot of stuff in this country. They can change election courses and a lot of stuff. And look at the Somali people, business owners. They make Columbus look good, to be honest. I love Somali people. I love what they're doing for this community. And I wish my community would, just like the Somali people. If we want to make everyone who does not like immigrant, we will point them out to the Somali people direction. You guys have state representative, officials, everything. And I don't think those people still live in ghettos. That means that the African diaspora people is full of people that come in this country, they get some push, the push that you want to fight, the push that your party want to fight against. And then they stand up as proud people, as sons of descendants of Mansa Musa, and they do something for the community they're in. That's what you did.
Thank you very much, Mr. Demba. Mr.
Thank you, Demba. Thank you so much for taking an example as the Somalis. I'm a Somali. I'm also the president of the Somali American Chamber of Commerce, which has more than 10,000 businesses within Central Ohio. The thriving we got. As you know that we don't go to banks. We don't go to banks because of our values. As Muslims, we're not allowed to do what's called riba. We do our own way of opening businesses and moving forward. What Demba is telling me is that Somalia is an example. Yes, we are an example. When our country belonged into war, we came here. When we were told to leave the way they wanted, the way the Democratic Party wanted, we said no. We said we have more than 10,000 smaller LLCs here in Central Ohio. The life we live is not the democratic way. They wanted us to live under the handouts of the social services, but we decided because of the African culture that we have, that was entrepreneurship, open a business. If you go to Nigeria, if you go to Ghana, if you go to even anywhere in Africa, you'll see small scale business that do businesses in a small scale area. So that means we are business owners. First of all, I'm not going to go back to the immigration. I'm going to go to the business. Yes, we are an example of the African community. Yes, we are. But how did we get there? Was through the help of the government? No. It was through the courage of having and believing in the faith and the cultures that we came from Africa. And those cultures resonate and aligns with the Republican Party.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, I want to jump to a point that we first started with. Mr. Shafi, you mentioned that the Republican Party aligns with our culture. Mr. Demba, you mentioned the Democratic Party aligns more with our values/interests, which kind of is the same, somewhat the same, which I think is the same to me. But if you like, would you like to counter what Mr. Demba is saying as far as the Republican Party aligning with our culture?
Yes.
Do you believe that?
I believe the Republican Party aligns with the African culture. It's wide and clear.
And if you can give specific example to help our
One
audience
example.
understand it.
Thank you.
And also an example of why the Democratic Party doesn't truly align with
Thank
our
you so much.
values.
One example. I'm giving you an example of my community. There is more than 29,000 Somalis that left the United States. You can follow up with the TSA or all the agents around here that left the United States either from Arizona, Minnesota, Atlanta, Georgia, Ohio, that ran away from the same party they voted for. Why? Because of the sexualization and this thing of calling your son can go to school today and your daughter will come back and tell my mom, I don't feel like I'm a daughter, I'm a boy. And I'm going to go away and just go and do surgery without your consent as a parent. That does not resonate with the African culture. It does not at all. The African culture, in terms of abortion, you know how we value life. The Democratic are telling, let's just kill. That child, you can kill it in time, even if it's 9 months. Am I right? But that are not the values of the African culture. Our African culture is a value of faith. As a Muslim, myself, and the Somali community that my friend said that they are the thriving community, we are scared right now. We have no value. We have no values at all.
But thank you very much, sir. We're going to have to stop you because we are, time is in essence. Mr. Demba?
Mr. Demba, I'm expecting you to answer why the Republican Party does not align with our culture, as Mr. Shafi has stated.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's pretty simple because I believe the Republican Party today, represented by Mr. Donald Trump, don't like us. When I say us, it's very simple. It's a president who put a ban on countries simply because they're Muslim. He put a ban on Somalia. So if you were in Somalia when he was putting the ban, you would never come here. Okay? He put it. Some judges kind of tried to fight him. He insisted. The reason why we talk about values, we do, of course, we do share some family values. I'm a Muslim, right? And I'm African and Muslim at the same time. There's stuff that I disagree, of course, with the Democratic Party. And I'm honest enough to say it. I'm not going to give an okay to everything. But I have a house. The reason why I have a house is that's my sanctuary. That's where I raise my kids with my wife, my family. I give them values. I make sure when they go to school and when they come back home, they know the difference. And they know how to live with that contradiction. We didn't come to this country with our values to impose them to this country. The difference between the Democrat and the Republican is the Democrat is saying, this is a democratic country. Democracy means a free will.
Well,
You get to choose.
Thank you
but
very much, Mr.
Republicans
Demba.
say you have to do it this way.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, we have to make sure that time is of essence. I mean, is the audience getting excited? This is now getting very excited. Very, very excited.
Sounds like the audience has something to say.
Yes, they
Let's
do.
hold on.
And I'm just going to piggy off on some of the things that were said. Mr. Demba, you mentioned deportation. It is a fact that Mr. Obama, the President Obama, when he was president, he deported a lot of Africans. As somebody that is for immigration, talking about how Democratic Party is for the immigration, I would like to get your take on that. And to Mr. Shafi, you mentioned family values. During President Trump's tenure, we heard a lot of family separation. What do you have to say about that, especially in terms of the African diaspora? So, Mr. Demba.
Yes, so, yes, it's a fact Obama deported more people than Donald Trump. It's because he had 2 terms. Donald Trump only had 1. If he had 2, he would deport, he would beat the record. We know that, you know. And then the other thing is that the problem is not the deportation. The problem is the condition of deportation. Does it align with the law? Okay? And then is it human? How are the people deported? Our community was affected by those deportations. The way people will go to sign to show their good faith, they are in this country, and they never come back. They go with their car, they have to leave their car, they have to call someone to come pick up the car. We never see them again. They disappear. They go to jail, they keep them there for a year or 2, and they send them back home.
Thank you very much.
Before they send back home, they torture mentally. And
Thank you
that's
very
what
much.
we don't want.
Thank you very much, Mr. Demba. Mr. Shafi, if you want to talk about the family separation that was very prominent in President Donald Trump's administration.
Thank you so much. You know, I will say let's have honest discussion. The point is, why are we here? Why are these African communities here? Some of them, because of a poor administration in our communities, that we plunged into war, we decided to do things in the other way around. Then we get over here. The travel ban and the deportation, he mentioned, President Obama deported more than 3,000 immigrants. President Trump, there's no value in place. You know, when you come to a place, whatever a candidate will say does not represent whatever the cultures. Here today we are saying the cultures of the Democratic Party. Does it align with the African culture, or the Republican Party aligns with the African culture? The point here is that in terms of deportation, people who cross from border and jump the fence without any documentation, yeah, when in every country you will be deported. But here we have a very genuine neighbors who welcome us, open their doors for us, give us education, and tell us follow the right way. The right way is the party that tell us go and do work the hard way, work hard, and change yourself and pursue the American dream.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Shafi.
I mean, is the audience interested, or I mean, we need some claps. We need claps. So I think, Tony, we have one more question for our debaters before we get into the audience questions, right? Well, I'm actually going to ask this question.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, because Mr. Shafi mentioned something very, very important, which is the woke movement of the Democratic Party. That, based on what he said, is not in line with the values of the Africans. Mr. Demba.
You mean woke movement? What do you mean by woke
Well,
Woke
woke movement. He talked about your son going to school, coming back and wanting to be a
Called a girl.
Called a girl.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he also mentioned, I believe, abortion.
Yeah.
Correct. So I'd like to see what is the democratic response to that, and in terms, especially again, because we're here for the African diaspora, right?
Yes.
And
So-
how does that relate to us?
Of course. And contrary to my elder here, I read the topic of the debate. It says value and interest. Okay? Those are very important keywords. You said it's the same. For me, it's not the same. It's very different. We can have the same value and have different interests. Just to go to the topic, I just said here, I'm not okay with everything that the Democratic Party says, and I'm honest enough to say it. I said I'm a Muslim. I said I have my value, my home values, and I don't think the education system in the United States, whether it's under Democratic, whether it's under the Republican, is imposing the kids to say what he said. He's saying it very lightly, and these are very, very serious debates. This is not something that, we say lightly like that. Like, oh yeah, I want to be a child, and the school is teaching I want to be a girl. It doesn't work like that. Because if your school is forcing your child to become a girl or pushing them to become a girl, you're allowed to go to file a lawsuit against that school, and we've seen that. So it's not as easy as he's saying. The world that we're in is changing, is evolving. It's a different world. The threat is everywhere.
Thank you.
TikTok is the first threat. Internet.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have something to say before
Yeah.
I ask my next question to you?
Yes. I think it's very clear. I think he put it very clear that he will not resonate with the Democratic Party. He's a Muslim like I am. And those are not something we're just saying it. It's an issue that is really lobbied by the Democratic Party. And we don't agree totally. Our faith is at stake. And there is no way, even the blind person who does not see anything, today will tell you that, no, do not vote with the Democrat. Vote with the party that resonates with your culture, with your life, with yourself, and your future, which is the kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my question was to you now, Mr. Shafi. Many will argue that what you mentioned, meaning gay rights or the women rights, are things that are of civil rights importance. What would you say to that?
Thank you. We are in a country of freedom. When the person decides to do something on his own, that is his own thing. But you have to respect the cultures of others. You cannot impose me, you cannot impose into me as a Muslim to say that your child should go to surgery without your consent. I have no life then. Let me tell you, if every person of us around here had no father, there was no men in this world, was there going to be people? What if there was no women in this world? God created two types of people, a male and a female, and there is nothing else. And that's very clear. And those are the values he believes in it. My friend believes in that. And those are the values the Republican Party, regardless of religion, either you are Catholic, either you are Christian, they believe that there is a male and a female, nothing else.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Demba. We will give you some time to respond.
Yes. So if I could, I would just repeat his first two sentences, because he said this is a country that allows you to have a choice. Okay, and that's what the Democratic Party stands for. It's a democracy. United States is a democracy. He's talking about, that just like it's especially in the United States, even in Africa, some countries, you have that freedom. That's why America was built. It was built on people to have free will. And the Republican Party, what they're doing is different. They're imposing their views. They're imposing their way of seeing things. So on the other side, in the Democratic Party, people have the choice. And he's doing something that Donald Trump does very well, which means, I'm sorry, but creating fake news. He's saying they're imposing kids to choose their sexuality. That's not true. The Democratic Party is not doing that. It's not. You're not forced to choose to say that you're gonna be a girl, you're gonna be a woman. You are free to make your choice. That's the difference.
Thank you very much. Thank you again.
Can I add on to that?
Oh, well, you get a minute.
Meaning, thank you so much. I think it's very good to have a very honest discussion. That's always what I say. The point is that it's imposed. We have no choice. They impose into us, your child can go to surgery without your consent. Am I right?
Yes.
Is that not an imposement?
So what is a child for you? What is a child for you?
My child is my life. If you tell my child that she or he can do anything without my consent, I have no life.
No. That's not true. A child is a child.
That's the truth. That's what our state
What is a child?
representative from the Democrat Party voted. That's what's happening in Minnesota. That's what's happening in California. It's widely seen, my brother.
How old is a child?
It's imposed. Surgeries are being instructed.
No, the choice. I'm saying the choice.
No, the choice is not from the child. The child. What,
No, you just
what
said it. You said the child choose.
No, I didn't say so.
He imposed.
They impose into me,
To
and
who?
they
The
say
parent?
that child can get into surgery without my consent. Am I not a
And
parent?
the child doesn't choose.
I don't have a choice for my child? What if my child tells me tomorrow he's not coming home and he's 5 years old?
Thank you again. Thank you very much. Thank you. How do you like? This is
Hold on.
This is how we have our debate in Africa.
Okay, all right. I want some more details, but okay, I guess we gotta move on.
This is we get to
I want to see a law that says what he said. Because even opening a bank account, a child needs a parent at a certain age. So you can't do anything you want.
This is how we have our debate in Africa. You know, we have timers, but our timers are just when your argument is done. So we get to allow some of the. I know Tony, you're the. I mean, I love the interaction. I love the interaction.
Let him be.
So again, I think round of applause for our debaters. As long as they're not, pointing fingers at each
Please,
other.
round of applause for yourselves, because I like the energy that comes from the room.
Yeah.
We disagree.
That's very good.
My name is Oke King Sise, and I'm the founder and designer of Arutuke Collection, a contemporary African fashion brand based in Columbus, Ohio. I'm from Freetown, Sierra Leone, a very beautiful country in West Africa. My inspiration comes from the vibrant prints, the beautiful patterns, and the unique African fabric from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Oke King Sise, enjoy my fall-winter collection.
Support for the African Debate Series has been brought to you by Ohio Immigrant Alliance, Columbus African Festival, Fork in Nigeria, and 83 Gallery.
At this point, we would like to pass the floor to you guys. Your questions.
Okay.
So we're going to try to make it. How many questions do you want to take?
Well, can you do it for a minute and a half max?
Yes.
And we'll aim for, well, I only see 3 hands so far, so let's go with that.
So we want to be fair. So however number of questions we get Mr. Demba, we're going to get the same for Mr. Shafi. Fair enough?
So with your question, tell us who your question's for, or if it's for both of them, that's fine. And we'll go from there. Please.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, my name is Keo Ube. I'm from Nigeria,
Welcome.
Igbo, to be exact. First of all, I think this is a very great activity you are doing this evening, and you should be encouraged. Thank you very much. Thank you. But I will start by saying the premise of your motion is somehow skewed. But the premise of your motion solicits certain angle of responses, and that's when we've got it. I'm not going to tell you which way, but that's what it is. Then the other one is this. The two gentlemen are very eloquent and very direct in their points. But there is something we call history. And history is very critical. Even though some schools try to value history or don't teach it at all, those Africans who are here can be divided into two categories. The recent African immigrants are what I call economic immigrants or economic refugees. The other Africans are those who actually came here for academic pursuit. After that, they stayed. So what happens is that between these two Africans, there are two different perspectives of what America is. And that's what I see between the two gentlemen. So don't bear with me, I'm gonna finish. So when the gentleman said Republican Party represents African culture, Africa is multicultural. Africa is multicultural. So now if you take the head of the Republican Party as the epitome of the party, his values doesn't match African values. His values doesn't match African values. You say you're a Muslim. You don't speak the way he speaks. And that is the African value. Then you say that abortion is democratically sponsored. Who knows Mr. Cheney? Cheney is the most fervent Republican, but his daughter is a lesbian. Is a lesbian. So then you turn around, you say Republican Party supports business. Here, bear with me, gentlemen.
We're trying to get the question in. We're trying to get the question because the time is of essence.
So
Next time we'll get you here.
about the business you're talking about, Ohio has what they call House Bill 584 that created minority business enterprises, which is to help minority businesses flourish. Who killed it?
Is that the question there?
Yes.
Sir?
Okay, so
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much.
So I have more to go.
Yes, please, but next time we're gonna have next time we're gonna have
So we got a question there.
we got a question.
So the question is clear, right?
I think
It was very specific. You need to rephrase it.
yeah, if you don't mind rephrasing your question to Mr. Shafi so he understands. Just a question, sir.
Who killed it, you said?
Who killed who?
Ohio, the state of Ohio, just like the federal government, they have programs trying to level the playing field economically, because it is assumed and it is proven that Caucasians have gotten a leg up. So in order to help balance the equilibrium, they created business aiding opportunities. All the states in the country have different names they call it. In Ohio, it was called House Bill 584. That was created by a Democratic governor, Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and sponsored by Senator Bowen. Then it was doing very well. My question to you is that then, who killed it?
Who killed House Bill 584?
Why?
You know, we have to get back into history. If we get back into history, in every state, every governor who comes in builds some policies. But those are not long term. When you speak about Ohio history, we can go all the way to 1900s. When Christopher Columbus was here, when will we start?
1803.
1803. So the reality is that those governors and the current governor, I can only talk about the current situation of Ohio. Governor DeWine approached every entity in Ohio to make sure that, including the Somali Chamber of Commerce, including every organization that has got something to do with businesses, It was because of Governor DeWine that the Somali community that I preside have more than 10,000 businesses in Central Ohio. And I believe every other African community here, they did the same. So I can only talk at my age. I respect your question and I respect your age. You may not know better in the history. But the reality is, right now where we are in Ohio, I believe it's the Governor DeWine that made Ohio great again.
Thank you very much. Make Ohio great again. Thank you very much.
Please,
We have to go to another person.
So it's
Sir.
good to correct facts.
Well, please, but we're going to go to another question, if you don't mind.
Governor DeWine did not create 10,000 minority Somali. It's a law there is liberality in creating businesses that is already established with the law.
Sir,
it's not Governor
So
DeWine.
next time we're going to have you on the chair here. we need to.
So
Any-
everybody, the next question, 1 minute, and it needs to end in a question, so we can
Yes.
get an answer out.
So anybody questions?
Doc,
Well, are we applying democracy? Can I have this much time as he did?
No, no, no.
Okay.
See, sir, we're not
you gotta
bragging.
learn
I
here.
don't see, I abide by the rules.
Okay,
The
thank you
public
very
is over by the rules.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
No problem. Question. So you're talking about school, okay? I have 5 kids. One time my kid was 11 years old and came home because they also knew to respect the parents, not the kids. And came to with a book that said, mind you, Pedro, male, Pablo, female. Male. And they both say in the book, social books, say, Pablo and Pedro are partners and they want to have a baby. On the book. Back, we're talking 15 years ago. My kids are older, very well educated, engineers. Because the family is the nucleus of that. So I went to the school and asked them, how do you teach my kid this without my permission? They said, well, there's curriculum. I said, you either take this book out of the school or I have an army of 100 people, parents outside tomorrow. They took the book out, but it got worse. So how do you explain that kids has right or kids decide at what age? That's what I want to know from you. What is your limit? The kids can make a decision.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And is it true? I saw it.
Sure.
I was heavily involved with my kids' school.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much. And you say you from which country?
No, I didn't say. Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah, came in here at 18 years old.
Wow.
My mom died when I was 16.
So you
And-
live in the American dream. And you said
yeah.
this happened 15 years ago?
15 years ago, my kids'
Who
school.
was president? It's important. Who was setting the policy at that time?
No. The school board sets the policy, not the president.
No. Well, first of all, we're talking about parties.
We're talking about school. You're talking about school.
Yes.
I'm talking about school.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. So it's okay. Let's just move straight to the answer.
You go to,
Yes.
we're talking parent, kids,
Okay.
and the school.
No problem.
No president,
No, I understand because
No
we're talking politics, difference of views between parties.
Yeah.
That's why
To the
I asked you that. Because you said it's 15 years ago.
Yes.
And
And they put the book out.
yes,
And you-
so they give you a right
Yes.
to put the book out.
Well, their reason. They knew that they were
Yes,
reasonable.
so they were wrong, right?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, they were wrong because they didn't let you know first. They
yeah,
listened to you.
they took
Yeah,
the decision.
and they did not look at you like,
No.
oh, who is this Venezuelan who's coming to teach us what we should do?
Well, I went as an American.
Yeah, I'm just
Parents.
saying, I'm just saying, they respect it.
Obama was president.
It's okay.
Obama was president.
Thank you.
To your question.
I needed to know the whole context. Obama was in favor of gay rights, so I understand. What I'm trying to say is, they didn't look at you as an immigrant.
No.
They did not look at you as someone who was dictating them what to do and who you were not a real American.
Yeah.
And
They saw me as a parent.
I'm just saying, they saw you as a parent. They respected you for who you are. And they respected your point of view and they removed it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's what the Democratic Party is about. And the opposite side, the Republican Party is imposing people gun laws, and which is killing a lot of people. They're imposing people their views on immigration.
Thank you,
Let's talk about the
Mr.
school.
Demba.
I'm just talking about the fact that you were empowered by a
Mr.
system
Mr.
that
Demba.
allowed
I
you.
was a parent.
Mr.
Yes.
Demba, Mr.
Yes.
Demba, Mr. Demba, thank you very much. I mean, as lively as that exchange was, We want to be able to try
I
to
want to
control.
have what he had.
Well, Mr. You know, we're going to try to get there.
Dr. Bar?
Thank you very much. So our next questioner, Dr. Bar.
Yeah,
And whom are you asking the question to?
yes, I'm asking a question.
To whom?
To Mr. Shafi.
Mr. Shafi, you are.
Go ahead.
Listening to you, you're a Muslim, right?
Yes.
Talking about being conservative and as an African, I find it a little bit difficult to reconcile your argument about the Republican Party's values that is being aligned with the African culture, of which Prof here said, African culture is, kind of different, right? But my question to you, especially what got my interest was you talked about your friends and how you were able to make it more than them. For me, I feel like it was a little bit demeaning. But secondly, the Republican Party's ideology of pulling yourself by the bootstraps. For me, I find it very interesting. But my question to you is this. Do you think that everybody at the same time can be able to pull himself or herself by the bootstraps, based on what you said?
Thank you so much. Thank you, my elder, again. Yes, everybody can do that. But how will you do that? When we came here, I'll start with myself. I had nothing. Zero. I had no dollars. I had only my bag and my family. That was all. So when I came here, the ways are very clear. And if you look at this country, the Republican lives and the Democratic life, for us immigrants, is very clear. The Democrats are telling us very clearly, stay in that Section 8 house, and food stamps, and stay there. That's what they are telling us. On the other side, they are telling us, hey, you are Americans. Feel free to live in this society. I live in Grove City. A lot of people think it's a white area. I live in the center of Grove City for 10 years. And I'm very proud I ran as a candidate. I was welcomed by my party. I walk around. I knock doors. That's the American dream. So the way you say, yes, everyone can make a change. But how can you make a change when the only thing you always guarded, either you are a Christian, a Muslim, is at stake? I cannot live a life when my child of 10 years old is being told that he's going to go have a surgery without my consent. I have no life.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
Thank you. So this is what this is.
Mustafa, let me just have
Dr. Bar.
one minute of follow-up question.
Dr.
It's
Bar.
just a follow-up question.
No, we can't do that because you see democracy. So thank you very much. We need to move on. Anybody else?
No, wait, sorry. In the red jacket behind you, and then her.
Because you
Madam,
haven't answered my question anyway.
Madam,
Y'all can have that discussion
yes,
afterwards.
we're going to try to keep the democracy going,
I
right?
have one question. I know you all won't know this, and some Americans don't either, okay? Who told you we are a democracy? We are not.
My man over there told me.
We are a constitutional republic, okay? Now, a lot of people that live in the United States do not know that, so don't feel that, somebody told you the wrong thing. And someone's going to say, what is a democracy? A democracy is when you have one lamb and two wolves, and they're going to decide what's for dinner. Majority vote. Okay? We don't have that.
On to the question. Do you have one?
We're supposed to.
That was the question.
She was just
Who
correcting.
told you
Oh, she was just correcting.
democracy?
Okay.
Thank you for the correction.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Thank you. Well, hi everyone. My name is Bessa Shira and I'm an immigrant just like you.
Hello.
20 years ago I came to this country to study mechanical engineering with nothing, right? Today I'm running for the Ohio Senate for District 16. So if you live in Dublin, Hilliard, New Albany, Gehenna, Westerville, Columbus, or Worthington, there's a chance you can have your immigrant for the very first time serving in the Ohio Senate. And that's what's incredible about this country. My question is actually, I would like for both of them to respond, if that's okay. What makes you two Americans? Give me that in your own answers. I'm curious. I'll let you decide who goes first.
Thank you so much. Same thing that makes you American makes me American.
No. You gotta
He's going into it. Give him a
keep
second.
going.
I'm not done.
Okay.
Okay. It's just what you just said. You came here. What makes me American is the fact that I was given a chance to come into this country and be the man I am today. I love that about America. Okay? I'm a banker. I work for a bank on a daily basis. But before being here, I was in France. I spent 7 years there. I had 2 masters over there. I was never offered a chance.
Did you become French because you were
No,
French?
I did. I had the choice. I did not become French because what I was seeing is they didn't want me there. They didn't want to give me the job that aligned with my degrees. I was working with people who were French people, and I was doing internship there. I was seeing how when they receive resume and they can't read my last names, they're like, oh, then they laugh about it. My last name is Ndiath. It's very complicated to say. But people didn't look at my last name in this country, and they gave me opportunities. That's what makes me American.
Thank you so much. What makes me an American is the opportunity I was given by this great nation. I came here as an immigrant. I was given everything I needed. If it's education, I got it. It's up to me to follow the American culture. When you swore in that constitution, when you're getting a passport, what do you say? I'll be loyal, defend the Constitution of the United States. For me to be loyal, I have to live the American dream. And the American dream is living the right way. Safeguard your culture, be an American, pay taxes, and live the American style of living. And that is not only and vote. Why we're here today, we're telling our African communities, go out and vote and do the right choices. The choices that aligns with your values. No one, including everyone here, will decide today and say, if I was a Muslim, I will not dare going into a church and change my religion. Every other Christian will not dare to go from their church and go to, and they will keep their cultures. American dream tells us, keep your culture, stay your life, and be the American dream, pay tax, and live the life that you persuaded, which is called the American dream.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
So we're going to take 2 questions. Just 2 questions.
So here's the thing. The problem is, it was 2 people back here. Yeah, you in the green and the lady there. And sorry,
it's democracy.
I apologize. We only got time.
Constitutional Republic.
And those are the first 6 people that raised their hands. That's where we're going with.
So we're going
in the
to
green
go.
shirt.
Hello, everyone. Great panel. Wanted to ask a foreign policy question. I'm not sure if this was covered before I got in, but I wanted to basically get both panelists' response to which party, especially in recent memory, has been better for the African continent. So, for instance, right, under George W. Bush's administration, there was a lot of humanitarian work, like the PEPFAR program. He also negotiated for the South Sudan, the peaceful end of the Sudanese civil war that led to the creation of South Sudan and whatnot. Meanwhile, under the Obama administration, they were tying aid to whether or not Africans would recognize homosexuality, but they weren't doing it for the Middle East. They went and did regime change in Libya that caused a whole bunch of calamity that's still affecting West Africa to this day. Basically, in a nutshell, there's a lot of different good and bad that's happened with both Democrat and Republicans, but I want to get both of your take on which party has been better for Africans that are still living in Africa, especially in recent memory. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Shafi,
Thank you so much. Thanks for your question. I believe the Republican Party has done the best in terms of Africa. In my country, in Somalia, we belong into war. When President Trump was president, he managed to tell my government at that time, hey, we are not going to pay our soldiers to guard you. We will train your soldiers and make sure your administrative governments will come over. In the other way around, when Obama was president, we only had, UN, United Nations, UNESCO. Those are elements who are there for their own interest. I believe including Bush, President Bush was the person who enacted the policy of immigrant 200,000 Somalis to be in United States. That should go in record. It was President Bush who allowed us to be in this country today, regardless of where my community are voting right now. So I believe every time a Republican president comes over, the African dialogue changes. Guys, let's be honest. Our country's plunged into war. Why? Poor administrations? What was it? So whenever the Republican government comes on, they always see where can we help. If you look at the world right now, just an example, I'm a Muslim. I'm proud when the Taliban were in Camp David. Why? The president saw that there's no need for paying American soldiers dying in Afghanistan. He brought them home. And he did that to every African country. So I believe every president of Republican president that comes into power respect the African culture and make the African countries great again.
Yeah, that's it. So for the audience, before you start, we have to do this disclaimer. In our culture, it's kind of hard to say to an elder person, don't. It's time to go. So that's why it's kind of hard to stop Mr. Shafi sometimes. Okay, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it's good to pick and choose among the president. It's very comfortable. You choose Obama did this, Obama did that. Let's just go straight to the fact and let's talk about the president today. And the person who represents the Republican Party, who think he's going to be the next president, he called African countries shithole countries. And we still have that in our mind. He never set foot in Africa during his presidency. Zero policy for Africa. You talk about training your people. This is regular foreign policy. Americans have embassies. I was at the United Nations, Senegal's mission to the United Nations. I was there in some discussions. Foreign policy is something that I've studied it and I love it. The person who went shake hands with Kim Jong, you name it, was Donald Trump. The person who destabilized Middle East is Donald Trump. We see the consequences today. The person who stopped funding for Ukraine for a quid pro quo is Donald Trump.
Thank you very much.
There's a lot of stuff that he did not do for Africa. But on the other hand, there's a lot of disrespect he showed towards Africans. He's not going to show respect for Africans that are here.
Thank you very much.
Can I
Thank
ask
you.
that for 1 minute?
Mr.
Just 1 minute. Thank you, Demba, for acknowledging that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States.
I'm not saying that's what he thinks.
Oh, okay.
The point is that, Donald Trump, they told us that there will be wars. There will be Ukraine war, there will be China war, there will be there was no wars in his time. All the wars were ended. There was no Ukraine. Gaza is burning. 40,000 people died, my brother. Muslim brothers died under the leadership of Biden. And I'm telling you right now, I don't sleep at night when I see the children of Gaza. Muslims in the United States decided not to vote with the Democratic Party because of what's going on. Youngsters from the progressive youth who demonstrated just because they see the genocide in Gaza are not voting with the Democratic Party today. The reality is that our country is at stake. The only way is to vote for this great party and vote for Donald Trump.
I have to say something.
He needs a minute.
I have to correct the facts.
No, he needs a minute.
I feel like this is close to our session. Okay, it's all right.
Constitutional
I
democracy.
have to correct the facts. The killing that you're seeing in Israel right now, between Israel and Palestine, was started by Donald Trump. I was in Israel when he chose Jerusalem as the capital city of only Israel. It was an international capital. Everybody could enjoy it. I was there, I saw how they split the security. Those people got along. They didn't have no problem. I was in the west area where we have the Jew people. I was in the Muslim area. In the Muslim area, you had some Jew people who rented in Muslim homes because it was cheaper. They have their way of doing things. America is over there. And the guy who does not even live in Israel decides that Jerusalem is the capital city of one group.
It was in the Bible.
And that's, we're not talking religion. What I'm trying to say is, we can go there.
And they won the warfare.
Thank you very much.
I respect the Bible and any book, but I'm talking about foreign policy.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Demba.
And what he's saying is not a fact. The war that we have there has been started by Donald Trump. He enacted the policy, the Abraham policy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That was a...
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, we have one more question before our closing argument.
I gotta get the last question in the back there.
Yeah, before I get to my question, I just want to fact check this gentleman. Trump's decision in 2020 to take out troops from Somalia was not actually helpful to Somalis in any way, and I would actually argue that it was harmful to our fellow African brothers and sisters in neighboring countries, because what actually happened was those troops were moved and displaced and relocated to other countries, and we know the impact that has. So I don't think that's helpful for anyone on the continent.
Thank you.
My question aligns very closely with Dr. Barr's. I think as two African leaders and community members, how do you reconcile, like honestly reconcile, supporting candidates who have historically marginalized and really oppressed the voices of African immigrants? How do you support that when here in Ohio we see bills like Senate Bill 83 that are directly, and I guess this is more so for the Republican gentleman, bills like Senate Bill 83 that are targeting our higher education efforts. How do you support that? Because I heard you a few moments ago say that what makes you American is that you're able to get up every day and, you know, have your values respected, but then bills like this are clear examples of a violation of DEI efforts. And so how do you reconcile that?
Thank you so much, my sister. Your question is very direct. Yes, here we are today because of our values. That's why we're here. That's why the debate is here. Does the Democratic Party aligns with our values, or does the Republican Party aligns with our values? There are thousands of bills up there that comes out every day that undermines some values of some people, either Christian, Muslims, white, black, any nation. We are a great nation here. My answer to you is that the values we're looking at does not align with the Democratic values. Our values of those bills that come, that's just a bill that will come out tomorrow and again be changed in the next 5 years. It does not matter where it is. What matters is my value and your value. And my value and your value are at stake right now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So again, a round of applause for debaters, please. Again, thank you for being here, and to the audience, thank you for your participation. We enjoyed their interaction. So at this moment, we're going to give each debater their closing 5 minutes for closing time, meaning that 2.5 minutes for Mr. Shafi and 2.5 minutes for you.
3 minutes then.
But before, we like the half because it just makes it more difficult for you. But for the audience, we do have these cards where you can vote for the motions. I don't know if you have any.
If you don't have a card, please just raise your hand. And
so we had a voting process before we started the conversation, and we are going to have one after. That way we can gauge if any of the debaters swayed your point of view. All right, Mr. Demba, please go. 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
Well, 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the audience. You guys have been amazing. It was very interactive. I loved it. Thank you to our elder here, and thank you to you guys for organizing this debate. I think I learned a lot. We learned a lot during this debate. He said, our value are at stake. My point is, our existence is at stake. Or, our existence in the United States is at stake. Because I saw how it was during Trump era. We were on the brink of a civil war. I'm not saying things lightly. It was civil war because I see militia group of black people getting armed. I see group of white people getting armed. People were walking on the street in groups with arms. I was in a country that I witnessed a civil war in Congo, and I saw how people were killing each other. And I saw the same thing in the United States during the George Floyd issue. I remember I was with my brother Ibrahim, we were in downtown, and we were marching, we were protesting. One of the most beautiful images that I saw, and it would always remain in my memory, is we saw like those military cars coming at us, and there was a group of white people. You know what they said? They said all black people in the middle. We were all black people in the middle, and the white people surrounded us. They constituted a shield to protect us because the soldiers were coming. It was here in downtown. I remember that. That's what I think America is. That's the beauty of this country, that we can all live together in this country and be respectful to each other. Regardless of our differences, we're always going to be different. Even in the same house, people are different, have different point of views. But on the topic, does the Republican Party aligns with our values? I would say no. What values are you talking about? He got caught by the word conservatism. What do you conserve? Conserve means you keep something. What do you keep? They keep talking about America great again. What was great? When was it great? What do you want to conserve? Because your culture and your value as a Muslim Somali are not something that was in America before. It's new. It's progressive. You're bringing it to add something to this country. There's no alignment between your values and the Republican values. On the other side, the Democratic parties, they give people the choice. I believe they give us the choice to be who we are, to wear what we want, to worship the way we want to worship in this country, and to welcome our brothers and sisters. My Muslim values align with that because we love neighbors, we love to welcome people, we help people when they come in our houses. That's what we do. I'm going to end here. For me, based on what he said, is you can be Democrat. When you come here, get food stamp, get all that stuff. And when you become richer, a little bit bougie, then you become Republican. I don't think that's fine, and that's fair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Round of applause for Mr. Demba. We're going to have, but Mr. Shafi, please, your closing statement.
Thank you so much. I will be very respectful because we're not going to argue again. I will be talking to the audience right now. Thank you so much, and I'll read very clear and slowly for you guys to understand. My minister right now, right?
Yes.
Well, as we wrap up tonight's debate, I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity to share my perspective. We have discussed how the Republican Party focus on economic freedom, educational choice, and family values, aligns closely with the values held by the African diaspora. Republicans believe in empowering individual families and communities to create a meaningful, lasting change. Through policies that support small business, promote personal responsibility, and offer choices in education, the GOP works to uplift our communities, providing tools for self-sufficiency and long-term prosperity. For African American and African migrants, families who came to this country seeking a brighter future, these principles are foundational. While both parties offer different approach, we are seeing real impact on our communities. Recently, nearly 29,000 Somali Americans left their homes in states like Minnesota, Ohio, Washington, Georgia, Arizona, and other states, due to policies that sideline parental rights in crucial decisions about their children, such as medical procedure and gender-related changes. These policies, lobbied by the Democratic Party, conflict with the family-centered, faith-based values central to African culture and the faith many of us practice. I believe the Republican vision best reflects the spirit of independence, resilience, prosperity that defines the African diaspora. As you cast your vote tonight, I urge you to consider which values and politics truly empower our communities to achieve lasting success. Audience, as I say, I'm not gonna say anything about the debate. My friend was very clear. He said Donald Trump will be the next president. He knows that what's going on up in our country. The young generation are fed up with the policies. And our people in every culture, the Muslims, you have seen in Michigan, you have seen in many places, that our country, the people who voted with the Democratic Republic, like many of my brothers and friends here, have changed their minds. Today, we are at stake. We either have two choices. To either live in peace. They used to tell us, and we used to hear, that those are a bunch of white people, they don't like you. No, I can say today as myself, I have been a candidate in Grove City. I live in Grove City for 10 years. I work in Grove City. I knock doors. I've never had a police escort. I never had anything.
Thank you very much.
That is the country we have. So please, as you can see, what's at stake, my African fellow Africans, please vote the right way and save your culture.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So we are going to give some time to the audience to vote, and you can use your QR code based on what you've heard today from our two great debaters. You can vote for the motion or against the motion. At the end of it all, we're going to do the tally and tell you what we found.
How long do we have?
5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Oh yeah, absolutely. I can vote too, right?
Yeah.
Many small businesses have a difficult time establishing their brands and achieving sales growth worthy of their effort. As a small business owner, it might often seem that your marketing endeavors are an exercise in futility, especially when they don't convert to cash or views for your business. Hi, my name is Ndiath. Call me DP. I am the Executive Project Manager at EcoSquare. EcoSquare provides a set of holistic networking designs that support the branding, marketing, and sales needs of local communities and small businesses. These solutions are absolutely perfect for neighborhoods, collectives, and agencies interested in enhancing their digital presence or growing their share of voice, but can neither afford to hire a full-time marketing team nor have the time or technical capacity to do so consistently. We can't wait for you to experience EcoSquare. Please feel free to get in touch.